let's get into a TBR, MBR, whatever I can actually get read BR for the month of March. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is my March could possibly, potentially, may read something video. So the last couple of months my reading has been on the slower side, or I don't know, maybe average. I tend to average about 6 to 8 books a month. Towards the end of last year I was getting about that 7 to 8 books a month, and at the moment I'm clocking about 5 to 6 books a month within the last sort of 3 months or so. That's okay, I'm not super worried, but what it does mean is that these huge TBRs, I'm never going to get through all of them. What that means is I've basically changed the way I've structured my TBRs into a priority system. So I will tend to put 10 to 12 books on any given month, knowing that I'm never going to read 10 to 12 books. I'm not Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads. I can't read at the speed of light, but you know, I wish I could. However, if I'm going to retain any information, for me it's going to be about that 6 to 8 book mark. So what I'm doing is a priority system, like I mentioned. So basically I've got 5 to 6 books which are definites. These are ones I'm going to read, and if I don't have any other time outside of those 6 books, that's fine. I've got the 6 that I'm definitely reading in that month. We then go down a category which is the maybes, which is the next pile that I'll pick a book from if potentially I have some time. These maybe follow up some buddy reads, because I've done a really good job at starting buddy reads and then just not following along with my own buddy reads on the channel. But I mean, that's fine. Not really. That's the way the cookie is crumbled. And then there'll be a third category of, you know, if I get time, and that is in red. So it goes green, yellow, and red. I've color coordinated. Don't try and be inside my brain. It's not a pretty place. That red will change to a yellow the month after, and then if I don't get to it within 2 months, it will become a green. And that is the only one that is a book I definitely want to read in 2023, but it's moved down the list a little bit, and now I want to make it a priority. So without any further ado, let's find out what I've got going on in the definite read section of the March TBR. Alright, so the definite section of the March TBR, we've got a few buddy reads, 1 that I'm joining in, 2 that I'm hosting. I've got a couple of indie books who have asked for reviews, or their arcs that I've applied for that have come through, so they definitely need to be read. So for March, I've got 5 absolutely must-be reads. I've got another 4 of I would like to pick a book from this section to pick up and read, and I've got 1 that if I absolutely have time, I can go ahead and read that. So let's have a look at the things that I'm definitely reading in March of 2023. The 3 that I've got going on that I won't go on about too much is the Wheel of Time readathon over at Kate's channel at the Literary Apothecary. I hope I pronounced that correctly every month. Every month I stuff it up. But I think it rolled off the tongue correctly. This is a mess of a video. Anyway, I'm reading book 3, which I think is The Dragon Reborn. I have done The Eye of the World and The Great Hunt on audio because Rosamund Pike narrated them, and she's just got such a beautiful voice, very easy to listen to. I think I'm going to have to switch it up. I'm going to try the audio with, I think it's Michael Webber and Kate Redding. I think that's the one that everyone loves. I have heard different things about the male narrator. Some people just cannot do it, but we'll give it a go. If it doesn't work, I'll have to switch. I don't really like switching if I've chosen a medium to read something in, but it depends. It depends on what's working for me. I may end up just picking up the ebook for it. The next one that I have is the second book of the Dragonlance Chronicles, the original trilogy here, and that is The Dragons of Winter Night. I will be doing that one on audio. I read the first book physically from this omnibus, this old beat up omnibus edition, and it hasn't aged all that well in my opinion. It took me a lot longer to get into the story than I remember it, 10, 12 years ago whenever I read it. And it wasn't until part 2 when my brain stopped trying to make this a cohesive story and a cohesive tale and just read it as a D&D campaign, and then it sort of clicked for me a little bit better. I think I ended up giving it a 3-star. I'll have to check what I put on Goodreads, but I will be continuing on, and I will be reading the second one on audio and seeing if that works a little bit better, just for that D&D sort of vibe, having someone run through a campaign audibly rather than reading it in a print format. So we'll see if that works any better. We then have, hopefully I finished the second book in this series. I haven't even picked it up, and it's towards the end of February. But if I do, I'll be finishing off the Cycle of Fire by Jenny Wirtz. This is Shadowfane. If I haven't finished this by the time that March rolls around, I will also be reading Keeper of Keys, so that will be my 6th, I guess, obligation book to try and get this series under wraps and all done. So they are fairly short books, but Jenny Wirtz's prose is fairly dense, so you do need to take a little bit of time as you read it. I find these books, even though they're quite short, do take a fair chunk of time to get through. So I'm hoping that I can finish that one off. If not, I will at least have read the second book, and it just means the third one gets pushed, but that's nothing new for these buddy reads at this moment. Breaking news from about 5 seconds after I filmed my TBR, Rodger has decided that we're reading Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson in March and not April, as was originally planned, but his TBR went live first, so now I have to read it. So just ignore every other book that's in this TBR, because I'll be reading this and The Dragon Reborn. Then we have an arc that I have been accepted for, and I'm very excited. I saw this on a Facebook group, and the author was asking for arc readers, and I read the blurb, and I was like, yes, I want to read that. So I asked her if I could have a copy, and she sent me one, and it was lovely. So this is the Ruptured Sky by Jessica A. McMinn, and it is the Gardens of War and Wasteland Book 1. How cool is that series name? Also, I really like the covers with like a weapon on the cover, and it's blue and it's black and it's lovely. Let me read you this blurb. A dead goddess, a broken sky, a world wasted by magic. Princess Amicalia wants one thing in life: control of her own fate. On the eve of her wedding, Amika flees her homeland, seeking the truth behind the mysterious magical abilities she's kept hidden since childhood. Taking up the life of a demon huntress, Amika uncovers a madman's prophecy that would have her receive an ancient goddess and destroy the world in the process. Will Amika become a pawn in another man's game, or continue her fight against destiny's shackles? As a dark and dangerous power begins to rise, she must make her choice, but is laying the world to waste the way to save it? I am excited. I cannot wait to get into this book, this dark, epic fantasy debut. This is why I love arc reads and finding new authors, because it sounds awesome. And then I have my review copy for Epic Indie, and this is The Empire's Bladesmen by Clay Vagrant. This is Forbidden Relics, War of the Dragon Throne, book number 1. Again, a really cool series name. And the cover gives me some definite Asian-inspired fantasy vibes. So, it says, Captain Xiao Lian, a battle-hardened veteran of the Ming Dynasty's imperial army, has become a respected officer in the Emperor's elite bodyguard. This notorious and politically powerful secret service organization, known as the Jiniwei Imperial Brocade Guards, also function as the Emperor's premier intelligence agency, an extension of his Iron Fist. They were the Empire's Bladesmen. After Xiao Lian was assigned to eliminate a ruthless crime lord after he seized power over several frontier towns, he discovers that the Bloodfoot Syndicate had awakened a powerful and terrifying adversary from a bygone era. Xiao Lian and the soldiers in his command suddenly find themselves waging a harrowing war of survival against allied criminal gangs and an ancient being who commands hordes of monsters and man-eaters. This sounds pretty cool. Sounds like a cool actiony, adventure-y type of fantasy, and I'm looking forward to jumping into this one. So this author reached out a little while ago and I said, hell yeah, I'll try and slip you in March, and I'm glad that I did, because it sounds like it's going to be a fun time. Moving on to the books that I would like to get to this month on the second tier of priority, I guess you could say, is I finally want to finish, this will be the first one off the bat, if I have any extra time after those 5/6 books for Jenny Wirtz, I'll be finishing off the J.B. Jones buddy read, which was meant to finish in February. No, it was meant to finish in January. I didn't read it in January. I have not read it in February. Maybe March. So if I get any extra time, I'll be finishing off this trilogy with Master and Fool. I could not find an audio for this one to try and fit it in. These read very quickly, and I am looking forward to picking it up, but I just had some other reads that I wanted to get to. So if I have any time, this will definitely be being picked up in the month of March. Moving on from there, we have a couple of new releases and anticipated releases for me that have come out recently that I would love to get that I would love to get to. One is The Shades of Madness by Tiago Abdallah, follow up to A Touch of Light in the Ashes of Averin series, and the second is Horns of Grief by E.J. Doble. This is follow up to Fangs of War, both of which I really enjoyed last year, and if I get a chance after I finish Master in Full, I will be picking one of those up. And then moving further down the list is Issa or Isa from L.L. McRae, book 4 in the World of Lunaria series. I really want to finish this one just in case Cole does come out later in the year and I can be ready to jump on board and read that at release. I cannot wait. And then finally, the book that if I, by some miracle, have finished all of those books, and the one that will continue to move up the priority list as we go along, is Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. I have wanted to read this one for ages. I bought the hardcover when I discovered her YouTube channel, and knowing that she likes that political fantasy element, I was like, hell yeah, I like political fantasy, so I bought it, and I haven't read it. I own this in multiple editions because I wanted to read it while I was here. So that's why it's going to move up the priority list, and likely Issa or Isa by L.L. McRae will do the same thing. I'm sure we've heard of Elliot Brooks if you're here on this channel, but let me read you the synopsis for this book. 30 years of peace have graced the lands of Abraham. The waning bloodshed from the War of Fire has ended, and the new generations have only the horrid tales of their forefathers to remind them of their country's pasts. Poverty no longer prevails. The sights and palms of men have grown soft, yet four nations dictate more power than they know. Civil unrest stirs among the first, the heir to the throne of Messedia, the guardian of it to its dagger, questioned by a growing rebellion. To the south lies a country of scholars, the mighty nation of Zenith, liberators of the War of Fire and the guardians of the amulet. Over the dividing wall lives the newly freed Sadie, a kingdom with an assassin for a prince and an insurgent at its heels. The fourth is the ancient realm of Eve, the land across the sea, gifted and cursed with the sight as it shows them what's to come. Only one knows the fate of the world, but all will be pawns in its reckoning. That is one of the best edited blurbs that I've seen since getting into reading again, regardless of being indie or traditionally published. Very clean. Love it. But I'm looking forward to getting to Peace and Turmoil. It'll definitely be happening this year at some point. Like I said, it's going to move up that priority list. What are you most excited for me to read? What are you most excited to read, more importantly, in the month of March? Let me know in those comments down below. If you like the content, give one of those. Want to see more of it? Click subscribe at your will, and I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.